And it looks like we're live here. Still trying to figure out the start of this. Welcome to the show. It's unnamed. I'm Matt Wolf, founder of Ticket Time Machine. Today, we're happy to have Morgan Urso and Kelly Urso. She's going to tell us her story. Welcome, Morgan.
Hi.
Great to have you here. So for the people who don't know who you are and haven't read your story, we're kind of going to go, let's talk to the present. You were highlighted in an ESPN article for your struggles with mental health that involved your hockey team. How's everything going today with you, with hockey? How has life changed since before the article?
So now I'm at a different AA program, and I'm a really big mental health advocate now. I support Same Here and how we can keep the conversation going, and how it's really okay to talk about your feelings and what's going on with you, and if you have a mental illness or how your mental health is especially now with everything going on in the outside world.
Yeah, how about just people? Do people know who you are? Do they recognize you? Is that a weird thing? Are you embracing it?
Yeah, it's definitely weird that a lot of people out there know who I am and I have no idea who they are, or have read my story and know my name or wear my wristbands. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. I love what you guys are doing. I follow you on Instagram and Twitter. So you're in high school now?
Yes.
And playing hockey?
Yes.
So you still have that love for hockey. Walk the people through just a little bit about the story and how this all came to be with the hockey program. Just tell the story for people who haven't read the article.
So last year, I really struggled with my mental health, and I got really sad. It was really hard for me to get up out of bed, and I had no motivation. So it went about 2 weeks of me just sleeping in bed and having no motivation, no happiness, no joy in life. So I told my hockey coach what was going on.
Sorry to interrupt, but because I had the same thing. Curious to know, how did you know when it was that you weren't just sad? Because I hear a lot of people say they're depressed when they might just be having a moment, or they might just be sad. How did you know that you weren't just sad and there was something more going on?
I didn't have my love for the game anymore, and hockey has always been a big part of my life. So going to the rink and not wanting to be there was a red flag for me.
Did everyone know you were feeling this way? Was it?
We did.
Yeah.
She struggled going to school too. She called like twice or would text like, you have to come get me. I can't be in this building anymore. I just can't, I can't catch my breath. I don't want to be here. And my husband and I would go pick her up, and she would kind of crawl her way into bed. And it was a struggle to get her to eat and to do much of anything. But she would cry on the way to hockey practice. And that was never, like, she was always the one at the door an hour before practice started. Like, okay, we need to leave. And I was like, no, we don't need to leave for a good half hour. No, we need to leave right now. And we were dragging her out of the house instead.
And then once we got into everything a little bit more, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So then I knew that something was actually wrong, and I had a valid reason for my feelings. So from there, we started my recovery process. We had told my coach what was going on, and the next day we found out that I was removed from the team and not allowed to contact any of my teammates anymore or be present at any of my team's events, games, dinners,
practices.
Like,
you couldn't even attend the games and sit in the stands. Like, they were like, you're not welcome anywhere around the club until
I'm 100%.
100%. You can, until you can participate at 100%. And we have a doctor's note saying it's safe for you to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because that's really the meat of the article, is like treating you as though you had COVID almost, and it's contagious. Like, somehow you being around there is going to affect the people around you, when it's really the people who have experienced this, it's the opposite. And when we start looking at the stories of the people who have had it to an extreme and are no longer with us, it's driving them away, I think, that maybe have caused that to be like, hey, I don't want to bring anyone else down, whereas that's not really how you were probably feeling, I don't think. But that's what they're telling you. How long were you away from the team?
About a month.
Yeah, it was a little over, like, she was removed the 14th of November. And then we had a meeting the beginning of December, and she went back like a week after that.
So this was in 2019.
In 2019. So it was a little, maybe under a month, little over a month that she wasn't with the club.
So obviously 100%. I mean, who's 100? No one's 100% anyway. I don't care what they're doing. But how far along were you in the recovery as you went back? Obviously, you were on some medication. It was in the article. I'm on the same. How long did it take you? Did it stick? Did you have to go back and forth?
Well, I feel like being removed from the team definitely put me back in my recovery, and it made things a lot harder. And being told I was a burden and that my teammates couldn't bear the personal struggle.
Yeah.
But this is not from the teammates themselves, right?
This was from the coach.
There was an email that went out to all the parents on the team except my husband and myself about Morgan's situation. And it was like, we don't know what to do, but we do know that we don't want the girls bearing the burden of a teammate's struggle. Which
that's a tough thing to hear regardless. Just it doesn't even matter, why you're not there. But it's interesting, what was the chatter from the teammates? Were you interacting with them same as always, or were they kind of, walking on eggshells based on instructions from their parents?
There were definitely some walking on eggshells, but for the most part, like my main group on the team still talked to me. A lot of the parents thought it was ridiculous what it was happening to me, but as you probably know, AAA hockey in Illinois for girls is limited. There's only 3 other programs. So if you're on one of those teams, you try to keep your spot. So a lot of the parents wouldn't speak up about anything. So that kind of made it hard, just seeing that all these people were out there saying that this was wrong, but they weren't saying anything to anyone.
And what finally turned it around for you to be able to be with the team? Was it the education that people needed? Was it just the noise that you made? I mean, sometimes just making noise is enough to get someone to reverse, even if they don't think it's what they want to do. They just, bad comments on Twitter and bad PR. What was it that got you back on the team?
It was our meeting with Team Illinois and with AHI in December that ultimately got her back on the team. And then at that, like you asked about medication, like she wasn't on the medication then that she's on now. I think we were on medication 2 of 4, like dose 1 of 3, because it's not an instant kind of, I take a Tylenol and my head feels better. It's a 3-week, 4-week waiting to see how you respond to it. So she was still struggling with that. And when she went back, there was not everyone was glad she was there. So there were a couple times, even when she was put back on the team, where we stepped back and we were like, listen, you're not going to go. This isn't a great environment for you to be in. This isn't productive for your recovery. So there were a couple trips she didn't take, and she missed more than just the month that they removed her. But at that point, it was for her own well-being and recovery that we and her doctors decided it wasn't the best place for her to be.
So hockey is obviously a big part of your life. You're at an age where it could be an even bigger part. Is that something you're looking to pursue, to get back on one of those traveling teams, to maybe play in college? Women's hockey has become very, very big, obviously with the Olympics and, the college getting a little bit more of a platform. Is that something that you're looking to do?
Honestly, right now, I have no idea.
Fine. And that's fine.
We've been working on that. Let's not worry about 7 years from now. How about Thursday? Let's worry about Thursday.
But no, if you're playing, and obviously, when you're at a certain level, you have people coming to you wanting you to be a part of their team. So hopefully that it's something that you can continue to do if you love. I know, I had a thing in high school where it's a whole nother story, but I had to quit my high school basketball team, and it kind of really took a little bit of the love away from the game from me, and I never went back to try and play at a higher level. So I understand, that aspect of it. And when I was not feeling well myself, going to play basketball, which was always so much fun for me, was something I was like, I wasn't as excited to do. I could feel my level of play not getting there. So it's good to see that you're back to getting that. Talk about, what life was like a year ago before all of this happened, and how it's different now, aside from just, obviously being, I guess, well known or having something go viral, however you want to call it, being on ESPN in an article. How's life different? What's better? What's worse?
I've definitely changed my view on things. Now I see hockey as just not the main part of me and who I am and who I can become, but a section of me. Last year I made TI, which is AAA, and that's where I wanted to be, or I thought I wanted to be there. And later that year I found out that AAA, AA, house league, it really all doesn't matter as long as you're finding the love for the game. And definitely going to school and being with friends and just cherishing family time and everything like that, whatever helps your mental health. That was really important to me now.
So you're on a different high school though, right?
So I transferred out of my high school last year. It just wasn't a very good fit for me. So this year I'm at Nazareth Academy.
Okay.
I go there with my brother.
Great. That's always good. Twin brother. So I went to school with my twin, and I followed him to college. So it's a wonderful thing to have family around you always. Who was most there for you? Obviously, your family seemed to be there. Was there anyone who understood? Because I had friends who wanted to be there for me, but they just didn't understand it, and they didn't know how they could help me. Was there anyone who stands out that kind of knew what was going on and really could be helpful, aside from being there, not saying, hey, snap out of it, let me take you here, this will make you feel happy? Did you get a lot of that, or were there people who understood?
There were definitely people who understood. One of my old hockey coaches was there for me a lot in the hard part of my depression. But then when I was coming out of my depression, Rob Schremp was there. And I got connected to him through Eric and through Same Here. And just having someone who kind of went through what I went through really changed how I looked at things, and that I wasn't the only one going through that there were so many other people out there who've experienced similar things to me.
Yeah, the Same Here organization, I can't speak enough good things about it and Eric, and I've gotten involved with Same Here CEO. There's a lot of mental health organizations, and anyone who can put the spotlight on mental health is good in my book, and we'd love to talk to anyone that's spreading that. Where do you think your place in this Same Here, and where would you like to see it go? How would you like to be an advocate? What would you like to do? I saw you have the foundation, and you did on Giving Tuesday, there was Team Morgan, and you sold some wristbands. What might be the next step?
Getting my voice out there a lot more. I feel like it's not enough just to tell my story. I need to let people know that I'm here for them and that there's ways to change and educate yourself. A big part of my future goal is going places and speaking about what happened to me and how you should be allowed to be open about your mental health and not be fearful of being rejected or pushed back into the darkness.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what the Same Here CEO is. It starts at the top. You create an environment where people can talk about. And, there's a big problem with males not being able to feel, comfortable talking about it and manly enough. For me, I don't think it was that I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. It's just that I wanted it not to be a mental health problem. So I went to doctors, and I was kind of in denial. So they're doing all these tests on me. I didn't eat, so I lost about 30 pounds. And, but just once you find out that it is mental health and you get the help, you just feel comfortable about it. It's just, it doesn't matter talking about it. I'll tell my story to anyone who will listen. And, and I say this every time we have this conversation, everyone's story is different. It's not good to compare stories in the same way. It's not good to compare like cancers, but I feel very fortunate that my story was a very mild one. I was depressed. I slept. I stopped eating. I lost the love for doing anything, and then I got help. And I always knew everything was going to be okay. And I had moments where I cried, and it was dark, but I always knew it was going to be okay. And so, being able to hear stories about the people and we had Steven and Eric on to talk, and we had other guests who really, told their story about that were a lot darker. And so I think if we just have the conversation and get people talking about it, and not just in the time when it's Giving Sunday, Giving Saturday or Giving Tuesday, I think it was, always, right? Whatever there's certain things that are in the moment. And let's not just have your article be, okay, this was a moment and we've moved past it. Let's continue the conversation. Have it as a platform that's year-round, the same as racism is, and the same as, the LGBTQ and equal rights, and have mental health be right there. And it sort of isn't there. And there's so much to do with mental health, the way Same Here talks about it, 5 and 5, that needs help. And so I'm here to try and do it. I always had a soft spot for mental health, just on the side of seeing people on the street who you can tell are not well, and really feeling bad about that and trying to figure out how to help, but they're not getting the help. So it's really great to see you out there, and I think at such a young age too. I think that's really what sticks to a lot of the people about your story is there's so many other people your age who are dealing with this. High school is it's a place that you can get, it's a bad place. And now it feels like that's middle school too. And now you have social media and everyone's on social media. Like I wasn't on social media until I was out of college, I think. Right. So it's a much different world for you, not knowing what it would be like if none of that existed. And you hear some terrible stories. So having you on the platform you're on, tell everyone where they can follow you and see. I know you're on Twitter and Instagram. Let's talk a little bit about your presence and your platform.
So I'm on, usually my YouTube for everything is Morgan.Urso. I feel like that's the easiest way to find me. I do have an Instagram, a Twitter. In my Instagram bio, I have my email if anyone wants to contact me, and my DMs are open. So anyone who needs help out there, I'm available to help you. I feel like just keeping the conversation going, like you said, and just even starting it, being like, hey, what's going on today? Like, how can I help you or support you is enough to open people's eyes to, making mental health like a bigger thing in everyone's life.
Her goal from the start of all this, when everything happened and she was removed, and it was, people kept saying to us, like, well, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. And Eric is such a huge advocate. And same here with first aid for mental health. Like, you are taught when you're 4 years old, stop, drop, and roll. Like, and how many times do you just see people spontaneously burst into flames? But there are so many people around you who need mental health. So there should be first aid steps and training. And that was Morgan's goal from all of this. It didn't matter that from this story she was on ESPN, or that she's going to get to meet an NHL star. That was never what she wanted from this. She always wanted to put training and information into place for coaches and for parents and for teachers and administrators, so that they don't have that helpless feeling when trying to support their students and athletes who are going through a mental health crisis. Like, that to us is just unacceptable. The kind of, well, we don't know what to do, so we're just not going to talk about it. It's just, that's mind blowing to us. So we're trying to really make sure that that's why the money that Morgan raised on Giving Tuesday went to the Same Here Schools program, so that they can put more and more of those programs into place with the trickle down. Like, her teammates, for the most part, were incredible to her. It was the parents, it was the coaches, it was the people, the adults who didn't know what to do and were terrified and just didn't make good choices because of it.
Yeah, and that's another thing that stuck out to me in the article is, you're commenting about they just didn't know. And so they just did something because they didn't know. And rather than saying, hey, let's try and figure out what's going on, let's try and understand and how it can interact. I liken it to the police going out, dealing with mental health, and it going bad. And, they need to learn about who's a threat and have have mental health education, the same way they have DEI, diversity and inclusion education, and at the university level, at the school level, at the team level, and your employers, when you go into work. These are all things that should be, we have Mental Health Awareness Day and even maybe a month, but we've seen that doesn't necessarily do the trick, right? The Black History Month, there's still all kinds of stuff. Mental Health Month, there's a month for everything, and we we want to make it more, again, of a conversation, not of a moment. And, have you done anything to try and get education into the athletics, the hockey world?
One of our, we made an agreement with TI that they were going to put programs in place.
But I don't. They haven't. And AHI hasn't, and nothing has been changed as far as that goes. So we're just starting to work. Like, we are going to start writing letters and trying to get more people. And when trying to get her back on the team, I emailed USA Hockey, never heard back. I emailed AHI. It took 4 days. It's something that people, I feel like, just push aside, because it's not something.
Twitter, I find when you tweet at someone and you start tagging and hashtagging, things happen.
On Twitter, I'll tell my husband I'm not on Twitter. It's just crazy to me. And it's not something that's going away. Like, it's not, especially with COVID and taking sports from kids. And we live in Illinois and our kids haven't had sports. My son's football season was canceled. Wrestling was canceled. Everything's being postponed. And there's more and more kids who are struggling because of it. And so it's something that people are going to have to deal with, and to kind of get out ahead of it, like, so that you know how to help the kids that are going to need the help. It doesn't seem like something that we should backpedal once you get to it. Like, oh crap, what am I supposed to do now? When you have this time, and there are so many different, as you said, mental health, just organizations that can provide education and support and programs. I just think it needs, getting the conversation going and keeping it going. Coming on places like this is just incredible for Morgan to keep sharing her story, and more people hearing and more people wanting to help is kind of our goal.
I feel like my fear from my article going out was that, like you said, it was going to be like a day thing or like a month thing, where I was going to get to November or December and everyone was going to, stop talking about what happened and how we can continue to educate ourselves. And what I really wanted from this was just to keep going and to remind people every day, not just one day in October, that they are important and that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. So the 5 and 5 is same here. Let me put this up here. Oh, we do have comments. It's my friend. He likes to have for my ticket time machine. Anyway, I think with everyone being at home, obviously there's a lot more abuse with alcohol and drugs. Probably a lot more mental health problems. I read an article the other day about a teenager in high school who ended his life because he felt alone. And, with all this happening, with 5 and 5, my feeling is there was something going on other than, just feeling alone. Yeah. So as having going through what you've gone through and knowing, how much do you see this, looking around and talking to people and hearing from friends about struggling, that they need some help too? And maybe it's not, hey, I need to get some medication help, but I'd like to talk to someone. I need to have maybe a different outlook, or just hearing the story might make them feel better. Like, hey, I'm not alone. Same here. I've been through this. I know there's other people like that. And we know there's other people like that, but sometimes you just it doesn't register with you.
Right. I feel like medication, especially, like, it helped me. And I think, as you said, it helps you, but it's not for everyone. And there are other methods that you can go to before medication. I feel like being on medication for your mental health and mental illness is such like a scary thing to talk about. But there's definitely other things like yoga, deep breathing, therapy. I go to therapy. I'm not ashamed about it. Like, I go and talk about my health and ways to support myself better. I feel like just letting people know that they're not like that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and even talking about your mental health, it's still your health. Like, if somebody was diabetic and on insulin, you would never question that they needed insulin to make their life better, just because mental health is it's something with your brain, which is part of your body and part of your overall health. That requires medication sometimes too. It's not something that, like, people are always, she talks about what she takes. And it's like, yeah, because it's not a cookie cutter fit, and there isn't one thing that's going to help everyone. She's been to 3 therapists.
Yeah.
And finally we found one that clicked and is great. She's been through 2 doctors. Like, it's just, you have to keep searching, and it's okay that the first, third, fifth, 19th thing you try, and maybe the second thing you tried, is what's going to work 6 months from now. Because with Morgan's journey, where she was 4 weeks ago isn't where she is now, and things that she wasn't receptive to then, she's like, oh, I'm really going to try that. That would be great. So it's just a kind of constant ebb and flow of what makes you get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, and I've talked to friends about who are on medication and seeing therapists, and some friends who've struggled. And what I tell them is, if you can avoid getting on medicine, then do it. But if you need it, then go get it. Let's try and figure out what's going on. Like, are you anxious because you have a lot to be anxious about, or are you anxious because there's something going on, right? Are you tired? Are you depressed? Are you sad? And all of that's fine. It's good to express it, but you don't want to rush into saying, oh, let's just take medicine and do it. I'd love to not have to take medication and feel the way I do right now. I understand that medication does the heavy lifting for me personally. Therapy was more just about talking to someone who has no vested interest in it. Like, right, there's no bias in it. They're just it's more of a sounding board. And I didn't find that the therapy was really, like, there was nothing groundbreaking being told back to me, but it just felt good to talk to someone. Whereas, I talk to people in my circle, and my circle is very tight, but there's just some things you don't want to talk about with them, or maybe they don't understand for whatever reason. So it's good to see that therapy has been a big part of your process. Let's talk a little bit about your grandpa. Tell us about him and the foundation and how people can help.
So this foundation that's raised
So we started this foundation. My father-in-law passed away in 2004. And initially we started this foundation in conjunction with a memorial golf outing. And my husband found Bare Necessities, which is a pediatric cancer foundation. And that's where we used to donate most of our money. And then we started a scholarship at St. Xavier. So we've already had the foundation established. So it just seemed an awesome way to just continue with what our mission was initially, just to help kids, to have Morgan kind of piggyback onto that with Team Morgan, and same here. So on Giving Tuesday this year, we weren't able to have our golf outing. So thankfully some of our major partners still donated to Bare Necessities, which is where that money would have gone. So then on Giving Tuesday, we were able to open up the TCU Memorial Foundation.com or .org. They both go to the same place, where you could make a donation or you could order t-shirts. And any donation of any size gets a t-shirt, gets bracelets, that Morgan has. And t-shirts are
Team Morgan on one side, and then on the other side it says same here.
That looks inside out. Is it inside out?
It's purple on the inside, and then
Yeah.
it's green, like it's teal on the outside, because the mental
I
health.
understand. It's hard to see it there, but I think I have some bracelets coming my way.
Yeah. So, and actually we had somebody, so the site is always up. So even if like you missed like you said, you missed Giving Tuesday. Okay, well, make it Giving Friday for you. You can still donate. You can still order a t-shirt. You can still, head over to that website, and it's then Morgan's article is there. The podcast Morgan has done, the Same Here website link is there. So you can get educated on the variants of their programs. Like you talked about the CEO side of it. Our focus is on the school side of what they do. But I actually had a friend reach out. I was telling Morgan the other day, like, I would love to support Morgan. We're just struggling right now. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard time. I said, well, send me your address. We'll send you some bracelets, because the more people who wear her bracelets and hear her story and keep the conversation about mental health going, that's all the support really it's okay. We don't necessarily, yes, financial contributions are always welcome, greatly appreciated. But for so many people who are still struggling, we'd be more than happy to send you a bracelet. So.
Yeah, that's great. So the TCU Memorial was started already, and now it's focusing on mental health, or it's still a little bit of everything? You're going to feature certain causes for different events and different months, because you mentioned pediatric cancer, correct?
Yeah, so I think that's like, we'll probably just continue the path we've been on, where our golf outing will benefit Bare Necessities, which is the Pediatric Cancer Foundation. We have a winter classic that's like a dinner dance that is usually split between Bare Necessities and our scholarship program. So we don't really know how we're going to continue to, like, Team Morgan and Same Here are definitely an integral part of our family now. Eric's amazing, and Same Here will be a group that we're always thankful for and will always support. We just don't really know what it looks like. And I think it's so hard with COVID because, the golf outing was canceled. Are we going to be able to have a dinner this year? There's just so many questions that I think for us to keep the website open right now is just really the best we can do as far as continuing our vision.
Yeah, I mean, it's never bad to keep it up and keep using the hashtag and keep promoting it on Twitter and Instagram. I thought I saw it on LinkedIn also. I'd like to get to a little bit of a lighter side here, some fun. Anything else you want to end the Same Here in your story? Anything you want to tell people or let people know about your journey before we ask you about some fun hockey questions?
So we actually raised over $50,000 for the schools program. I just wanted to add that.
Great.
To me right now, that's a lot of money.
To anyone.
Anytime. For anyone, that's a lot of money.
Especially being younger, I feel like I don't really look at money that way. But being able to be a part of something that I've raised that much money and it's going somewhere good has really felt really good.
And that's just going to be the tip of the iceberg from what I can tell what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about hockey and some fun topics. How did you get into hockey? Because, where I grew up in New Jersey and now I live in Florida, it wasn't a big sport in general for high school or even middle school. And then certainly I would assume for women, it was even for girls hockey, it was less.
So from the beginning of sports, my siblings always played before me. I'm the youngest of three.
Okay.
So I always had to be better at them in the sports. So if my brother would play basketball, I'd play basketball too. And for a couple weeks, I played football with him just to show him up. And he wanted to try hockey. So I was like, oh, I can definitely do this. And that's how I found my love for the game.
And Chicago is your team, the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
You can be honest.
Yeah. I don't really watch hockey.
No, that's fine. People play and don't watch. I grew up a Devils fan. I was going to ask you who your favorite player was. I assume it's one of the people that you talk to or that are a part of it if you're not watching too much hockey. What are you doing when you're not playing hockey and not advocating for Same Here? What are some other things that are hobbies of yours?
Well, right now it's school.
Yeah.
I hate school. Just trying to get through.
You're not alone.
Right.
Yeah. Winter break is in 2 days, so right now I'm just trying to get through finals. But other than that, I hang out with my family a lot of the times.
YouTube.
Yeah, we're a big fan of board games and just playing like games, being off of social media on our phone for a majority of the week.
I try, and it's very tough with my business and everything I'm involved in. I look at my screen time and I get disgusted by it, but I try and put it down, and on the weekends and spend time with my wife and my family. Do you have a favorite board game that you guys play?
Honestly, we play them all. Categories is a good one.
Yeah. When she was super low and it was really dark, like she would get up in the morning, we would play canasta. So we don't really play that anymore because we kind of ran our course with that. Categories. There was a new drawing game that we just played.
Yeah. We're a big fan of
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah. And there's Disney Against Humanity.
We got Cards Against Disney, which is like Cards Against Humanity, but of the Disney variety, where Snow White and Mulan do questionable things to dwarfs and other characters. So that's a little too dark for some people. Our uncle came over and he's like, I can't play this with you. I can't. So, yeah.
I couldn't stop laughing. We just got our niece and nephew the kids game for Cards Against Humanity's kids, and they were laughing. It's like you don't even know why you're laughing. You just can't stop laughing.
Yeah. There's one called What Do You Meme? Where like you show the picture and then you have to write the meme behind it. That's a good one. We like that. That's our tradition for Christmas Eve. We get we get Christmas pajamas and a new game, and we have sub sandwiches and then play a game, and then one of the kids picks a movie depending on whose turn it is. So,
Or how about movies? Do you have a favorite movie?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. Okay.
is that what you expected from the 15-year-old? Right.
Remake? Is that the original?
The original.
Remake, right? Didn't they have a remake?
Yeah.
Mary Poppins Returns. So it's like part 2. There's
Yeah. That one's pretty good. I mean,
do you guys have a favorite Netflix? Do you watch Netflix? Do you have shows, series?
Go ahead.
Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds. I just watched Euphoria. That was really good. Schitt's Creek.
It's my sister.
Really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a trivia night for Schitt's Creek, and my sister was a Schitt's Creek fan before anyone even knew what Schitt's Creek was. So right from the start. So we joined this trivia, and we think it's going to be great, and we couldn't answer any of them. That's how, and the other people knew everything. I don't know if they were cheating or what, but it was crazy how much they knew. They were very detailed questions, but a great show. It's funny, like one of the shows that on Netflix that I think was my favorite and the most well done was 13 Reasons Why, and that's obviously a dark show, and it's very realistic. I think is one of the reasons. Have you seen that? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I watched the first season, and after that, I kind of lost interest in it.
Yeah, it wasn't as good afterwards.
Yeah, I watched that.
You were young
before.
though. You were like in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like right at that kind of cusp of, do I let her watch it? Do I not let her watch it? Do we watch it together? Do we talk about what's happening? Kind of. Yeah, that was a rough one for you.
Yeah.
Morgan has a huge heart, very empathetic, very sympathetic. She takes everything kind of in. So she's careful about what she watches and not subjects herself to, but just things are overwhelming emotionally for her sometimes. So she limits it.
I just thought the reality of it was good for people to watch. I mean, let's say we even did 13 Reasons Why a show and took out the suicide part. There's just so much going on in that I envision it being real, as opposed to some of these other shows. You're like, yeah, that's crazy. That stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you get a show like that, and it seems really real to me. Normally, I ask someone if they weren't doing what they do and what would they want to do. Do you have anything, growing up, even maybe before that, you said, I want to be an astronaut, or do you have anything that you obviously day by day?
Honestly, I want to be everything. I want to be a special ed teacher. I want to be a trainer. I want to be a trainer for kids with special ed, so I can help them. I want to be a lawyer, a nurse,
you like the outfits,
a doctor.
You want to coach hockey, like the little ones you like coaching. Yeah,
I've been through a lot. I mean,
it changes all the time.
Every day I think it changes.
If you go to college, it'll change even more. The same way people change majors. If you had to eat one food for an entire year and that's all you can eat, what would it be?
Pasta.
Pasta? Do you have
I'm
a favorite?
on my carbs.
Carbs. Do you have a favorite kind of pasta?
Red sauce with normal pasta.
Do you eat anything in it, or you just eat the pasta plain? Do you like vegetables, meat?
Well, it depends. If I have white sauce, I can have broccoli and onions in it, and I can have sausage in my
red sauce.
She's
not a big meat eater, so
no.
Yeah.
I'm a white sauce kind of guy.
Yeah.
Peanut butter banana toast, that's her go-to also.
Yeah.
That's like every meal, every day for a couple days in a row. It's like, let's branch out some. Yeah.
There's one person, so I always ask, if there's one person alive that's a celebrity that you can meet, hang out with, and spend an entire day with, who's it going to be, and what are you guys going to be doing?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Someone very attractive.
Yeah.
Really good. Zac Efron, or like.
Your favorite actor?
Yeah.
Looks wise.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're looking at
I
me.
don't know. There's just so many. That's another thing that it changes every day. I'm like, oh, he might be fun to hang out with. Like,
you like Zendaya? Like after watching Euphoria,
Yeah.
like she's incredible. Like that, yeah.
Hey, well, look, I really appreciate you coming here. I want to tell people again how they can get in touch with you. But one last question I wanted to ask, sort of get your outlook is, if you could do it all over again, is this something that you think is obviously going to end up being good to have? Like the stuff that I lost, some months, and I lost some points in my life that I'll never be able to get back, in events and milestones. But I also look back at it and think, it's opened up a whole new world for me and made me really take another look at life. I lost my dad about 15 years ago, and I always lived my life like, hey, no regrets, do what you love. But things like that kind of make it real for you. And so you have an episode like this, and I don't know what to call it episode. You have whatever you want to call it, whatever's happened to you. I feel like it could be used, for good and not look upon it as like a dark point. And is that something that you feel now? Is it something that might take a little bit longer to feel that way?
Yeah. I feel like I still have my days where I'm like, why is this happening to me? Like, there's 7 billion people in the world. Why am I one of the people that has to go through this? But in the end, I look at it as, look at how much it's brought me. I mean, I'm connected to people I never even knew about a year ago. And I think that's just amazing.
Yeah, that's the great and bad thing about social media also. I mean, a lot of supportive people. I mean, if I see someone write something on Twitter, I send them a DM, say, hey, everything okay? And I find that there's a lot of people who are just saying it. They do want attention, but there's a lot of people who need help and they don't get it. It's someone reaches out, oh, I'm okay, I'll be okay. And there's not much you can do about it, but just be there for people. And so I'm one of those people. I'm there for whoever needs it. And that includes you. You're in the circle now. Anytime you need anything, you let me know.
Thank you.
Anything I can do or my company can do to help you, let me know. Tell people one more time how they can get in touch with you and how they can help out.
On Instagram, it's morgan.urso. On Twitter, it's morgan.urso. And my Instagram is my email. My email is morganu07@gmail.com in case you don't have social media.
And Instagram's open so they can DM you.
Yeah, Instagram's open. They can DM.
Great. Well, again, thanks for coming, Kelly. We appreciate you coming on as well. A big part of your story is obviously your family and how they helped you get through. And it's not over yet for where you're going to be and stuff that you want to do. So I look forward to following your journey and speaking again.
Thanks for having us.
Until the next episode, tune in tomorrow. We have Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas. Thanks a lot, Morgan and Kelly, and have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.